It was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
In the next few minutes, you'll discover why over 50 celebrities threatened to leave the US, but almost none of them actually did. We'll reveal Trump's hilarious responses and how Kimmel and Maher are turning this whole mess into comedy gold. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video, but that's not all. We'll also uncover the shocking truth about why these exit threats might be doing more harm than good. Ready for a wild ride through celebrity drama and political humor? Picture this: A-list celebs dramatically tossing Gucci suitcases into their Lambos, ready to flee the country faster than you can say election results. It's a scene we've seen play out more times than Trump's had bad hair days. Every 4 years, like clockwork, Hollywood's finest threaten to pack up and leave if their candidate doesn't win. In 2016, Miley Cyrus declared, "I am moving if Trump is my president." Lena Dunham had her sights set on Canada, saying, "I will move to Canada if he wins." Fast forward to 2020, and Amy Schumer was eyeing Spain while Bryan Cranston contemplated a Canadian getaway. But here's where it gets juicy. Trump, never one to miss a chance for a zinger, started mocking these celebs like a stand-up comedian at an open mic night. With each new threat, his responses got spicier than a ghost pepper challenge.
But you know what? I'm going to say something that Trump would never say unless it favored him. The people voted, and the choice we made. In January, Donald Trump becomes president, and that's that. He won. As I've been trying to come up with something positive, the best I can come up with is we've been through this once before, and yes, this time it is probably going to be worse, maybe a lot worse. I hope his next unpredictable act is to reach across the aisle and do something positive. He really does. The bar's low. He has an opportunity to win us over.
Take Cher, for example. She promised to pack her bags and jet off to Jupiter if Trump won. Yep, you heard that right, Jupiter. But guess what? After the election, she was still right here on good old Earth, probably wondering if NASA would ever return her calls about that interplanetary flight. Now, here's a mind-blowing fact. Over 50 celebrities threatened to leave the US during the 2016 and 2020 elections. But you know how many actually did? Almost none. It's like they're all playing a giant game of who can make the most dramatic exit threat. But what happens when a celeb actually tries to make good on their promise? Well, it turns out leaving isn't as easy as hopping on a private jet and waving goodbye. There's the IRS to deal with, because Uncle Sam wants his cut even if you're sipping margaritas in Bali. And don't even get me started on the immigration lawyers. One of them said, "It's like threatening to run away from home." Ouch. So what's Trump's presidential service for these fleeing celebs? Maybe a one-way ticket to Reality Check Island, or perhaps a crash course in how to follow through on your dramatic declarations 101.
He's an he's no, he's such a dangerous, I don't know how he is a candidate. He is so dangerous, and he tells something, and then you go back and you see what he said, and it's the truth both times. He's so terrific at lying. I've never seen anybody so good. This election will change America and have consequences for the world for 40 years. And the people who will suffer the most.
But here's the million-dollar question. Why do these stars keep crying wolf? Are they just attention-seeking missiles in designer clothes? Or is there something more to this Hollywood exodus that never quite takes off? From fake fleeing celebs to genuinely shaken comedians. Talk about a plot twist. Late night TV took an unexpected turn from punchlines to gut punches. How did Kimmel go from packing prop suitcases to delivering a monologue that left his audience in stunned silence? Well, folks, it turns out even the kings of comedy can't always keep their cool. Jimmy Kimmel, known for his witty jabs and playful sketches, started his show with a bit about frantically packing his bags. He joked, "I'm leaving the country. I can't stay for another 4 years of this. Who knows what he's gonna do?"
Maybe this time he'll shock us and actually do some productive things. He won't, probably, but he could. Or maybe the only good part of all this is he can't run again in 2028. Remember when he took office the first time? He started working on infrastructure with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi until the other Republicans say, hey, we don't do that. We don't work together. Why not at least make it fun? My only request to President Trump is that he let me share a prison cell with Taylor Swift.
He said he has a list of enemies. You think I'm not on that list? Classic Kimmel, right? But then, something changed. The laughter faded and Kimmel's tone shifted. During his monologue, he got real, like really real. He said, "It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. It was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him, and guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him too. You just don't realize it yet. Ouch." That's not exactly the setup for a punchline, is it? And Kimmel wasn't alone in his somber mood. Stephen Colbert, another late-night heavyweight, kicked off his show with a serious tone. He told viewers, "If you watch this show regularly, I'm guessing you're not doing great. The deep shock and sense of loss is enormous." He even advised people not to be alone during times like this. Talk about a mood shift. It's like the comedy club suddenly turned into a support group. But here's the kicker. These emotional responses from our favorite funny guys, they resonated big time. Kimmel's ratings went through the roof as viewers tuned in, looking for someone to share their disappointment and worries with. It's like the whole country was having one big televised therapy session. Of course, not everyone was on board with the late night sob fest. Some viewers loved the host's honesty, while others thought they were being drama queens. But whether you were reaching for the tissues or the remote, one thing was clear: these reactions were hitting home for a lot of people. So why did Kimmel fight back tears in his monologue? Maybe it's because sometimes, even for professional jokesters, reality hits harder than any punchline. Or maybe he just realized he'd have to find new material now that Trump was sticking around. But here's the million-dollar question. While Hollywood's having its meltdown, how's Trump taking all this? Is he laughing, crying, or just tweeting up a storm? Looks like this political soap opera is far from over, folks. So what's the deal with these celebs and their exit threats? It's like they're playing a game of who can make the biggest splash without ever getting wet. Truth is, these dramatic declarations are more about making noise than packing boxes. It's their way of waving a big, sparkly flag that says, "Hey, look at me, I have opinions too." But here's the kicker. In this political soap opera, who's really stealing the scene? Is it the celebs with their designer luggage and empty promises, Trump with his Twitter tantrums, or maybe it's us, the audience, eating up every ridiculous moment like it's the last episode of our favorite show? So what's the takeaway from all this Hollywood hullabaloo? Grab your popcorn, folks, but maybe hold the salt. We've got enough of that already in this star-studded political circus. And who knows, maybe next election we'll see a celeb actually follow through. Now that would be must-see TV.